Hey, Ticats fans, welcome to another episode of our 2021 season preview powered by TELUS. Today, we're going to be focusing on the ball hawks. Those are the guys in the secondary who take pride in making sure nothing comes their way. And when it does, you better be ready for it to come back the other way. Well, there are quite a few returning faces from the 2019 who led the league across a bunch of great defensive stats, including Jumal Rolle, who we'll hear from in just a bit. There were some departures, including the retirements of Courtney Stephen, Rico Murray, and Delvin Breaux Sr. So who should you be keeping your eye on in camp? Well, we'll get to that answer when we talk to defensive backs coach and special teams assistant Craig Butler. As mentioned, Jumal Rolle will be stopping by, as will former CFL All-Star, now one of the top analysts for the CFL on TSN, Glenn Suitor. And we'll wrap up the episode by checking in with a Ticats great Wall of Honor inductee and the club's all-time leading tackler, Rob Hitchcock. So make sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode. And let's get right into today's show with my conversation with Coach Craig Butler. If we're talking about the ball hawks, the guys who are catching the ball, we better be talking to the defensive backs coach and special teams assistants. That's Coach Craig Butler. Coach, it's great to see you. How you doing?
Fantastic. We're back in the office here. So, on Monday when we came in, it was kind of like Christmas morning. So the vibe is coming back, and we're all getting ready and we're getting excited.
You're kind of in a unique position because you're not too far removed from being a player in camp. So obviously a lot is different in terms of your physical and what you need to know, like kind of your playbook here. But just take us through the little bit of a difference of being a coach getting ready for camp and being a player getting ready for camp.
Obviously the first big difference is, just the physical preparedness that you have to be. The 7 years of playing, this was kind of that time where you wind it down as far as your physical training is, and you knew you were as set as you could be. I understood that, a lot of times training camp is when you kind of got in football shape, because there's not really anything you can do to replicate the amount of reps and the speed and the competition aspect, is always different when you're fighting for a job rather than just training. So physical, preparedness, obviously. With football, it's being a coach, the organizational preparedness is obviously one of the biggest things. Just making sure you're prepared, you're ready for the guys, you're prepared for any questions they may have, although that's difficult to do as well because there's always going to be some things that you'll never expect to be asked. So you just kind of want to hope that your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, and then you kind of got to be able to midstream adjust, whatever comes up, just be prepared for any little changes, especially this year. So, we got a lot of new guys, but I know we got a lot of, the core group that we do have coming back, they're great. And I'm excited to see all those faces and the new faces too.
Yeah, because we're going to get to the guys you got coming back, but you did say goodbye to a couple of guys, and recently Courtney Stephen retired, and someone who you worked with on special teams as well, Delvin Breaux retiring as well. But you got to be excited about the faces that are still here, the Tunde Adelekes, the Jumal Rolles, the Frankie Williams. I mean, I don't envy you of the job that you have to do here in trying to make your depth chart. Yeah,
well, that's the fun thing about training camp and competition. That's what they're all expected to come in here and do, is compete. And that's across the board, defensive, offensively, special teams is. I know when I was a player under Coach O, and that was kind of the expectations, that no starting jobs were really, inked in. It was about when you showed up and you had to earn your spot. So, I hope that's something as a coaching staff that we can get the players to understand, is that everyone comes in here and all spots are open. And those guys that are coming back, we expect them to be leaders, and we expect them to, maybe on the first couple of days, have an advantage over some new guys who have never seen the playbook or who have never played even the game up here. So, but that's something that, by day 3, by day 4, hopefully everybody else catches up. And then like I said, it's about competing and earning a spot. And that's why you love football.
Yeah, there really is the mentality that nothing is given on this team, right? It just seems like everything needs to be earned, and that I feel like you as a player, having played just a few years ago with Coach O, for Coach O, where does that mentality begin? Like, where do you get kind of that competitive mindset with this organization?
Well, I think, as a coaching staff, that's developed in the off season, right? When we have obviously this year it was off season Zoom meetings, about establishing the expectations that we want to set for the players, and then for the players, it's really that first meeting. It's really as soon as they step in, as soon as they, are here, it's about setting those, letting them know clearly, defining the expectations, and then when they hit the field, they're setting the standards. So it's got to begin from the start, in my mind. It's competition is how you create, how you create winners, and really who you find out who's made for this team. So I think it's got to start right away.
This is a Ticats defense that, allowed the fewest touchdowns, that allowed the least points per game, that allowed the lowest completion percentage to their opponents. There are a certain amount of expectations for this defense already. So, under the tutelage of Mark Washington, how do you kind of build on such a great season last year to be even better this season?
Right. Well, an easy answer is we didn't complete our goal, right? So that's from the jump. We all know that. Everybody who's been here and who understands the organization knows we didn't kind of summit to the top, which was our goal for 2019. So, all the other statistics, those are kind of, I try to look at statistics. They kind of back up as what you're doing. Yeah, they may be your goals. You want to be, top in all these, but at the end of the day, you want to win the championship. You want to win the Grey Cup. Being, the lowest points and the lowest completion percentage, those are just kind of ways of confirming that you're on the right path. So those are still going to be our goals. We're going to try to, our goal is to be 14-0, 16-0. Our goal is to have no touchdowns thrown against us. Do you think is that going to be a reality? That time will tell, but that's our goal from day one. When they throw it, when they do, if a touchdown is, thrown against us, it doesn't mean that, we've done something wrong. It just means that now we have to shift our goals. So, those expectations, yeah, we set them pretty high, right? But we also know that if we don't set them high, then we won't be able to achieve them.
That's so true. And you mentioned you didn't finish the goal that you had going into the last season, which was to win the Grey Cup. How much is the Grey Cup discussed? How much is that game discussed in the coaching room and Zoom meetings? Is that ancient history? That's done. Let's move on. Let's focus on 2021.
Yeah, the focus has definitely shifted onto what we have to do for this season. I mean, we all understand of what happened, and we've tried to learn from that game as much as possible, but we're fully focused on week one, right? We know who we're playing, so that's our focus, and everything is really it's not even week one, it's day one of training camp is our main focus right now. It's taking it one day at a time and working towards Winnipeg at week one.
I like to leave the prognosticating, the predictions to the other guys, but you are in a unique position where you're on special teams and the DB's coach, and Frankie Williams is such an exciting player to watch. Whether he's returning, whether he's playing defense. For you as a coach, someone who gets to work with him on both sides of that football, what's he like, and what are your expectations for him going into this season after what was such a great 2019 for him?
Yeah, the thing with Frankie, and why you love him is like just what I've been talking about is that, his compete level. Is that guy, he wants to be, he wants to lead the league in interceptions and tackles. He wants to lead the league in touchdowns. I'm sure if he got a chance on the offense of the ball, he'd want to lead in receptions as well. So, he always wants to make himself better. And the thing with Frankie that you look for is, I think the next step for him is making everybody else around him better. And I think he's fully capable of doing that. So, you want a guy who wants to continuously improve. And I think Frankie's that guy. And I know we're all excited, on the defensive side of the ball to have him compete, in the backfield and then on special teams just to do what he does. He's an exciting player. And, guys like that make your whole team better.
Will there be any temptation? Has there been any temptation in the last 2 seasons when you see the boys go out there to feel like maybe I can still throw on the pads? Maybe I can still do it.
Temptation? Yeah, I don't think the temptation will ever leave. Now, the reality is a whole different story. So you kind of got to separate those two things and really check yourself sometimes about, can I still do this? And then you sit down in the office chair and you swivel on. You're like, I think I'm more suited for this than cleats. So – but, man, being around it, there's nothing like it. And, being back at it after, the hiatus that we've had it's just going to be a different feeling. And I can tell every day, it's ramping up even a little bit more. So I'm just excited for when the full squad gets here and we're back doing what we love.
I was just about to say, what's the first thing you're going to do once the full squad is in the room? What's your plan? What are you most excited about?
Man, I don't know if I can. I'd hug them all if that was, if that's protocol. If it's not, then we'll do our best socially distanced high fives or, whatever we need to do. But it's really just expressing, the gratitude for, everything that everyone's gone through, and then them, showing up and being here and being all on the same page because, even before they've already committed. So that's humongous. And, them getting here is another step in the commitment process. And then, it's kind of the beginning, right? So, we're just seeing their faces is gonna be big.
Coach, I appreciate you doing this. We'll see you in about a week's time.
Thanks, Louie.
My thanks to Coach Craig Butler for stopping by. And now, if we're talking about the secondary, if we're talking about the Ball Hawks, who better to talk to than Jumal Rolle, who's with us now. Jumal, it's so great to see you. Just a few short days away from camp. Like, what kind of emotions are you feeling? Excitement, nervousness? What are you going through right now?
We're going through every emotion right now just to get around all the guys, get around all the coaches, just to start a new season, and just enjoying the environment, period. So, yeah, we're excited.
This is your third training camp. We're the third training camp with the Ticats. How has your mindset changed from year one back in 2018 to where we are now heading into 2021?
Back in 2018, it was just trying to get the logistics down and get the game, the rules, and all the things that the game requires. And so it was a little bit of adjusting, but now it's kind of like, with the experience that I have, I played in over 30 games now. So, a little bit just I'm better with adjusting. I'm better with, the style and the play of the game. So I feel much better now than the way I started.
You mentioned your experience, and now here you are, about to suit up again for the Hamilton Ticats, but you're missing some guys that you played with. You're missing Rico Murray, you're missing Delvin Breaux, and now you're kind of becoming the de facto experienced veteran on this Ticats team. Is that a role that you're ready to embrace here in this new season?
It's crazy how the universe turns, and I was looking forward to playing with those guys. I'll forever look at those boys like my big bros. They paved the way for us guys now. And so me just stepping in the role that I am, I'm still learning, still will remain a student of the game. And so I don't really look at it like me being the oldest guy in the room. I'm still growing and trying to learn just like everyone else. And just try to bring this thing together as one. So that's all really I'm focused on right now.
And again, I'm not trying to poke at your age at all. I'm talking about your experience and just your knowledge of this team and having been around this team. I mean, do you feel like you are a leader on this team, especially in that secondary where there are going to be guys competing for spots?
For sure. Well, yeah, I've been around a little bit longer than, the guys that we have in the room now. So now I feel like my job is just to pay it forward and just help those guys understand the standard, help those guys understand the culture that Hamilton brings and what we stand for and how we practice, how we play. It's all one accord. So I'm just looking forward to that role. And, just trying to put our best foot forward.
Let's talk about this defense because it is a very special group. Last year, led the league in points allowed per game. You held opponents to the lowest completion percentage. What is it about Mark Washington as the coach? What is it about Coach Butts here, this defensive group? What makes this group special?
We're all on the same page. We beat with one drum. We're one audience. And so we try to let our shoulders down and really be a brotherhood. And we create an environment where everybody can be open to each other and receive the criticism from anyone on the team. And so we're always, as a group, continue to learn. No one knows it all. So I think that's what's big for us. It's just understanding each other and just spending as much time as we can so we can, bring us a championship home.
And you mentioned communication. It's so important off the field, but it's so important where you guys play on the field as well. So when you have guys that are coming back, and when you have Washington, Tunde Adeleke, guys that you've played with again, and that you're excited to play here with in 2021, how important is that communication on the field, just as equal as it is off the field?
Well, yeah, the communication is key on and off the field because, we're always trying to get better, and there's always things to critique and correct. And so spending time with those boys off the field, just builds a better relationship when we're on the field, and it helps us know exactly how we want to play, exactly how we want to practice, and so it helps tremendous.
The Grey Cup is scheduled for in December 12th at Tim Hortons Field. How much of a motivation is that to know that game is going to be played in Hamilton? You know how special the fans can be in Hamilton. How big of a motivating factor is that this season?
It's definitely some motivation, but we're just going to focus on game one, trying to win game one, and then week after week until we get to where we want to get to.
I just wrapped up a call with Simone there, and, he said something along the same lines where it's like, we look at it, it's, day one, day two, day three, walk through game day. Is that the mindset of this team? Is that, hey, we can't look at week 10. We can't look at, Grey Cup week. We have to look at the opponent ahead of us.
No, I think the most important thing is the moment is now. We're trying to win now. We're trying to win today first. And that's what it starts with, just winning today and, letting the cards fall where they may in the future. But as long as we try to win one day at a time, we're going to get to where we want to get to. So we just keep that in mind.
Quarantine's not fun. Nobody enjoys being locked in a hotel for 7 days. So how are you keeping the body right? How are you keeping the mind right this week before you kind of hit the ground running on Saturday and Sunday?
We're doing some HIIT workouts in the room, turning up our temperature, sweating a little bit, trying to move our feet and run back and forth with the little space that we have. We're just embracing everything that, quarantine has allowed us to do. And so, we're just working out with the space that we have, and we're going to make the best of it.
Well, I definitely feel bad for the hotel staff that's got to go in there and clean the high interval intensity training sweat from the rooms there. I'm sure you guys are staying safe and healthy, and we're glad you guys are. And we can't wait to see you on Saturday and Sunday. Jumal, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we're talking ball hawks. Of course, those are the guys in the secondary who go up and play the best defense they can. And one of the best to ever do it, top 10 in interceptions in CFL history, is Glenn Suitor, also from the CFL on TSN. Suits, it is so great to see you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Well, thanks for having me. And Coach Steinauer is ahead of me, I think, so on the all-time list. So I'll defer to him in all of this, but yeah, I love to talk secondary, so let's get at it.
Let's get at it. Rico Murray retired. Delvin Breaux Sr. retired. Two big losses, but I think the Cats might have the pieces to replace them.
I do too. And let me start with the most important position on the field, safety. No, I'm just I'm a little biased in that.
Just a little.
But I will start there because Tunde Adeleke and Mike Daly together are a really nice combination at that spot. Both are veterans, and when you get to sort of year 3, 4 at that position is kind of when you stop treading water and you start like breaking out freestyle and going for it. And that's when you can really step up and be a playmaker and a difference maker from the safety spot. And you've got a couple of different sort of style of players with Adeleke and Daly there. So, and the other thing is that Mike knows Craig Butler so well, and Butler knows Mike so well that, that will be a super easy transition. And that's kind of your quarterback of that group. So I think starting there is kind of like starting at quarterback when you look at the other side of the ball with the Ticats, that they are loaded there with two starters, and at safety they're loaded with two starters there too. So it trickles down from there. But you're right with Jumal Rolle and Cariel Brooks and guys like that who are hitting their stride in year 3-4 here, and they're all doing it together.
Frankie Williams is another name that jumps out. Of course, the 2019 Special Teams Player of the Year in the Canadian Football League. But how impressive with what he did on special teams, probably just as impressive was, he wanted to play every down on defense too. And when he did get into the game, he was an impact player. What do you like about Frankie on both sides of the ball? And do you think he can take another step up defensively this season?
Yeah, when you can return like Frankie Williams can return, you now have a guy that has that great ball sense, that can, great instincts when it comes to the football in the air. I mean, just tracking down punts, think of that and how difficult that can be when that wind's coming off the corner there in Hamilton. So, when you think about just his ball skills, that's where you put him in a situation in a veteran group that's coming together sort of at the same time when they're hitting their prime in year 3, 4, 5, 6 in some cases. You add in the veteran like a Seontae Evans possibly, but Williams he's capable, I guess what I'm trying to get to, of leading the league in interceptions, because there's a guy with those instincts. You drop him into zone or play man, as soon as the ball is in the air, he becomes the receiver as much as the receiver's a receiver. So, some guys just have that great natural ability. Some guys are great cover guys like Delvin Breaux. Delvin Breaux was a lockdown cover guy, didn't have a lot of interceptions. And that's not because he didn't have ball skills, but his strength was that he just locked you down. He put a blanket on you. You can't even be available to your quarterback. Well, Frankie's kind of like the guy that you may look open, but when the ball's in the air, he tracks it down. That's what I love about him.
Let's stay on the defensive side of the football, because it is Ja'Garrett Davis. It's Dylan Wynn. It's Teddy Laron. It's Simone Lawrence. I could go on and on. Julian House there. The linebackers, defensive line here, terrifying. I mean, terrifying for opposition quarterbacks.
Well, it's a good group because, let's just start with that D-line and Wynn, Laurent, Davis. I don't think we have to go even further than that. And you've got a stacked group there. So now you say, okay, so pressure on the quarterback is going to be sort of the staple, and possibly pressure with just 4, or at times maybe even just 3 rushers. The moment that you can get pressure with 4 without sending extra pressure from linebackers or secondary personnel, now you've got a chance to really take your game to another level and start stealing the ball. So that's where you can drop and play a lot of umbrella type coverages, and guys like Frankie Williams, Seontae Evans, guys that have good ball skills, that's where they will shine, because they get pressure on the quarterback. He throws when he's not ready, and those guys come up with the ball. And then, I think Simone Lawrence is one of those guys that he's not underrated. So that's not what I'm looking for, but he's going to be the glue. He will be the straw that stirs the drink in all of that talent that we're talking about right now on defense. You need that one guy that's stepping up, vocal in the huddle, vocal at halftime in the locker room when things are a little shaky in the first half, those kind of things. Boy, and Simone Lawrence is that guy for sure.
Simone Lawrence, Jeremiah Masoli, Brandon Banks. I mean, the guys who have been here for a long time. What's their motivation heading into this season? And they don't need to be motivated, but the Grey Cup's at home. Everybody called them the favorites last year. They had such a great regular season. That core group that's been here for as long as they have, how important are their voices, away from the field, in meetings, at lunch, at meals, on the plane? Like, their role is so much more off field, as much as it is on field, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And you do all that by example. So, it is what you say for sure, because everything matters. Everything matters. Everything you say, everything you do, how you conduct yourself, all of that is super important, especially when you're, as you mentioned, the Brandon Banks, Jeremiah Masoli, or Dane Evans, even the leaders of the team. They're going to be watched, especially in this camp where this year you're not going to have preseason. Every practice rep matters. So those rookies watching the older guys to make sure they get it. And I'll just make one example of maybe the dynamic I think most important in Hamilton. And I don't think it'll be a problem, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. Jeremiah Masoli and Dane Evans in the quarterback room and then in the locker room, making sure there is no tension there, no matter who's starting. And because both are capable, as you know. So, if they handle that well, and I know they will because of their coaching staff too, with Tommy Condell and Coach O, and, those guys, they understand the team dynamic as well as any coaching staff in the league. So I'm not concerned with this, but that's going to be so important that they are working together no matter who's starting, and then the team doesn't get divided in the process.
Let's talk about the receivers, because Brandon Banks was the MOP in 2019. Braylon Addison tried his hand in the NFL, but he's back for 2021. Then you go out, you add Devere Posey, a 1,000-yard receiver, got a great relationship with Tommy Condell after winning the Grey Cup with the Argos with him. And then, by the way, Jalen Acklin, the team's nominee for Rookie of the Year in 2019. He's going to want to take another step forward. And we haven't even gotten to Jake Burt, Nikola Kalinic. Really, Jeremiah Masoli, Dane Evans, whoever the quarterback is at the time, are going to have a lot of different targets to go through.
Well, you just mentioned 4. And so let's just go with Addison and Banks as the two that are the established superstars in the group right now. And Devere Posey can do that again for sure. And I would look at it and say, Posey is now got to fit into that group. So he's got to make sure that he comes in with that great, work ethic. He's been the guy. He's been the number one receiver on so many teams. He's got to make sure that he earns that if he gets there again. But if not, he's okay with being number 3. And I've always said, if you have 2 really good receivers in the CFL in your group, you can make the playoffs. If you have 3, you can push in the playoffs and maybe get to the cup, maybe even win it. If you have 4, you're the best team in the league. And when you look at those numbers and you look at that personnel, they're right there. Now, injuries and all of that are always part of the picture. But going into camp, man, I like their group top to bottom, including O-line. Maybe there's a different type of receiver. And then when you want to go in that story, you go with Jake Burt. Yeah. And you say, how are they going to use him? So not only is this team stacked in talent, and again, I'd say this if it was Saskatchewan radio, because I truly believe it. Not only this team stacked in talent, great coaching staff, but they have a cool rookie story in Jake Burt, and how they're going to use him coming out of camp and into that first game. I can't wait to see it. It could be a tight end. He could be a fullback. He could get outside and get in motion and go downhill and be a big type receiver like Ray Algard. Or Rocky DiPietro for Hamilton fans.
There you go.
Yeah. So, and lots of great storylines there.
And then I was about to just wrap it up here we haven't even talked about Sean Thomas Erlington, who had such a great start to the 2019 season before he got hurt. And then they went out and they got Don Jackson, who, again, someone who's going to be motivated, got hurt in Calgary, but he's going to be 100% healthy. I mean, really, how do the Ticats manage expectations then at that point? Is Coach O just the perfect guy for that job to get them to tune out what everyone else is saying about them?
Yeah, Shaq Johnson in Vancouver, the receiver, Canadian receiver. I think he's poised to be like a guy that could win the Canadian award in the season. I think Thomas Erlington is the same type of guy. We're starting to see different position, obviously, and all that, but we're starting to see just what he's capable of, and I think we're just scratching the surface. I really do. I think if he was going to get 12 carries to 20 carries a game, we'd see a perennial 100-yard per game running back. I think he can do it. I really do. And so I'm really cheering for him to get those opportunities. Having said that, to me, Don Jackson is a running back that runs angry. And when he runs angry and he goes after you, it can really set the tone for your offense. So again, like the safety position with Adeleke and Daly, you've got two different style of players, both that'll bring a lot to the table in different ways. And it'll be a nice dynamic to watch, not to mention that, you can substitute possibly a Canadian there. So
I do want to wrap this up by acknowledging our mutual friend. Of course, you know him very well, but our friend Chris Cuthbert calling the Stanley Cup Finals. I know something that's been a goal of his. I know your partner in the booth for many years. A great guy, and I know you. I want to acknowledge it. I know that. Just want to get your thoughts on our boy Chris and what he's able to do right now.
Yeah, I'm so happy for him, and all the great calls he's made, the Vancouver Olympics, and all the calls for Grey Cups that I've been able to be honored to stand beside him in the booth in those. I will say for people that don't know him real well that what you see is what you get. You get that feeling when you're watching that he is just a great person, not only a great broadcaster, and that's certainly true. But here's another little tidbit. He works his butt off. He is researching constantly. I've never been on a plane with Chris Cuthbert where he didn't have his charts out and working on his charts. I mean, even if we had back-to-backers where I was trying to get some nap time, and here he is, and I'm looking back in the plane going, okay, if you're working, I've got to work. So I'm going to take my charts out. So, the guy, he has such great respect for the athlete on the ice or the field and loves the Canadian Football League. So that's a bonus, but just a hardworking, sincere, great broadcaster. So I'm real happy, and I'm loving Go Habs only because they're the Canadian entry, only because they're not my team, but because it's O Canada, go Habs.
Dude, thank you so much for doing this. It's always great to talk to you. It's great to see you. Can't wait to see you at Tim Hortons Field whenever that is.
Yeah, say hi to all your other guests because you got a great lineup, and thanks, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Hey, Ticats fans, and I'm very pleased to be joined by a wall of honoree. Where is it? There it is. I got the flag, the towel here to prove it. Rob Hitchcock. Hitch, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks, Louie. Thanks for having me, buddy. Appreciate it.
This time of year, you've been away from football for a couple of years now, but this time of year, do you still kind of get those butterflies, that energy, that hey, it's football season?
Every year, end of May comes around because training camp for us started kind of end of May before. I think it's changed a little bit now, but as soon as May comes around, it's football season. And, I guess the last 13 years when I haven't been playing, I haven't had to work out in the off season, which is kind of nice, but it does. The butterflies come back a little bit and it's football coming around the corner.
What's that first day of camp like? You'd been through a couple of them, but what's that first day? Picture yourself as a rookie. Go back a few years. What do you remember about that first day of camp?
That was a long time ago, buddy. You know what? I remember it like it was yesterday. Don Southern was the head coach and brought me in. For me, being a Hamilton boy, playing out at Weber State, so I was gone for 4 years in the States, and then coming back and being drafted by Hamilton and knowing that I'm going to hopefully be a part of the team was a really cool feeling. So I was really, really nervous, being from Hamilton and then kind of representing the city and getting up there. We had a couple of guys on the team as well from the area. I just remember, I had long hair. I grew at university, and it was probably about the 7th or 8th day into camp, and Coach Southern said, "Hey, Hitch, you're going to cut your hair." And I said, "No, Coach, I like my hair. I've grown it for 4 years." And he said, "No, you're going to cut your hair." And I didn't know at the time that he meant, "Hey, listen, you're going to make this team, so you need to cut your hair and look like a businessman." And so back then it was a little different. So I didn't get it until a couple of the veterans said, "Hey, man, you're going to cut your hair." And they ended up cutting it for me on the field, which is kind of cool, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. The thing about camp is, it really is your chance to shine, right? Especially as a rookie. It's your opportunity. It's your opportunity to, for the first time, to compete as a Tiger Cat. What did that mean for you? Like you said, to grow up to grow up in Hamilton, to be drafted by the Ticats, but to actually compete for a spot on the team? What did that mean for you?
Well, you work at it in university, whether you go in Canadian university system or the U.S., it doesn't really matter. It's football. And when you come up and you have an opportunity to be on a team, and I remember coaches saying, you're here for a reason. So, show your stuff. And you got to come out right away and, not to a point where you're being cocky, but you just kind of come out and do your job and do the things that got you to where you were or to where you are. And, for me, it was, I had a pretty good career in university, and I just wanted to bring that into camp and just keep moving forward with it. And, to tell the young guys coming up, it's tough to land a spot when you got veterans that have been there before or that are still there playing. And you just got to go in and hopefully, you can, the limited times that you get in as a rookie during the camp, during the plays, is you got to make it work. And I ended up making a few plays in camp and had the opportunity and very fortunate to be a part of that 95 team.
So on the flip side, coming out of camp as a rookie, going into camp as a veteran, to see these younger guys come up, does it almost push you a little further when you're older to try and keep your spot, or do you rely on the laurels?
Yeah, I think, in my 8th, 9th, 10th year, I was working out even harder because of that fact. I had a couple of guys that were, Kyle Walters was behind me for a lot of years at safety, and I just never got hurt. He never got a chance to go in, but he was a hell of a player, and he killed it on special teams. And it's just one of those things where you end up starting to help. And when you're older and you're a veteran, you ended up start helping these younger guys because, I had some help by some guys when I first came in 95, and, 2003 and 4, I was like, I'm going to let these guys know some of the things that I learned. And you never want to say too much, but you say just enough to, if you like them, especially, and you want to be a part of that team, is you just give them enough to hopefully they can show the coaches something.
This episode of the podcast, we're talking about the ball hawks, the guys in the secondary who go up and get that football. Obviously, you had a long career doing that, but what's different about that position heading into camp? What kind of stands out for that position group? How do you make an impact? Again, if you're a rookie, where you only get those 1 or 2 chances to really shine and make a play.
Yeah, I mean, I would say to the young guys coming up for sure, just get in your playbook. And when you have that opportunity to get in for those 3 or 4 plays, once every 20 minutes or so during the teams and stuff, you just make sure that you understand the plays and what's going on the field. Because there's nothing worse than, forgetting to play and having a coach yank you out of there. And then all it takes is one of those things and you got a short trip. So get in your playbook, and when you're out there, just communicate with the guys, especially in the defensive backfield with the corners and halfbacks and the safety. You got to be the quarterback back there, even with the linebackers. You got to let them know. You got to be vocal with them. And I think what benefited me is I was pretty vocal in the beginning as a rookie, and maybe a little bit too much, but I think the coaches like that, and hence I played 12 years. So
it worked out for you. There you go.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I talk to players, they say training camp is really when we became a family. Training camp is when we clicked, and a lot of that is the rookie initiations. A lot of that is you guys are spending so much time together. 2-a-days, meetings, all that stuff. Do you have any memorable stories from training camp, things that stick out to you even all these years later?
There are millions, but a couple of them, and I'll be brief on them, but it's the times have changed since we started back in 95. If you can believe it, we had up at Brock University, we had a beer room. So after our second practice, Don Southern and the coaching staff, they would have a keg of beer in one of the little halls for the veterans. And we would ask 2 rookies at the end of the second practice to come and serve us beers for an hour before dinner. And we would go in there, and there'd be all the veteran guys, and the 2 rookies would have to get dressed up. And of course, the rookies didn't really bring any stuff. So we put them on a golf shirt and some khaki pants, and they served us beer for an hour. And if you were in that room and you got asked, then there's a reason why you got asked. And it was because you were going to hopefully be a part of that team and we liked you. So we did that for a couple of years. I don't think they're serving beer much anymore. And Coach Steinauer will tell you that that's what it was. It was one of those things where you group, you gel together as a group when you're in there. And we had an hour, so we pounded beers back for an hour before we went and grabbed dinner, and then got into meetings that night. So that was one thing. And the second one was, a good memory for me was getting up around 6:30 in the morning, had to be down at the trough for breakfast. I think at 7. And Darren Flutie, when he came in 98, him and Danny Mack and Ronnie Lancaster. And if you ever know Brock, there's a thing called the Village where the dorms are, and there's a box, like a corridor in between each of them. And Flutie used to get up at like 6:30, and he used to play his guitar and put his big thing on, whatever that speaker thing is, amplifier. And he used to play like Ozzy Osbourne, and he used to just crank it. And the guys would be like going completely bonkers. I need 10 more minutes sleep because they're so sore. But that was one of the funniest things. Darren did it every morning to wake guys up, and we loved it.
Let's talk about this team, because obviously, 98, you lose the Grey Cup. 99, you come back and you win it. Do you see some similarities between those two groups, between, losing the Grey Cup and then being able to come back and have such a great result in 99? Do you think this team could pull that off?
Yeah, no doubt. There has been a layoff for, the last year and a bit, which, it's still a taste is in their mouth from losing that game. We were fortunate a year later to go back and play, the same team in Calgary and play that team. And it was a nice feeling. But this team here, I do see it. I talked about it last year, and I know that, I guess it'll be a year and a half ago now, and just saying how the similarities that we had with each team has got different unique guys on it. And I see the similarities for sure. The veteran guys, how they treat the coaching staff, how they treat the players. It was the same thing as when we had 98, 99. And it's about the locker room, and Coach O would say the same thing. It's about the locker room and how it's policed. And when you got a great bunch of guys that are going to work together every single day, it's, good things happen.
What's it going to mean for you to see, however many fans we can get back at Tim Hortons Field, but once we're back on that Labor Day Classic, I'm sure you'll be there, but what's it going to mean to kind of see those fans back in Hamilton after everything kind of people have been through in the last year and a half here? I'm
hoping I'm one of them, but it'll be great for not just the fans, but the players as well. I mean, the fans have been fantastic. This pandemic has brought a lot out in a lot of people, and a lot of people have been thinking of, what they've missed over the last year. But I think that, I don't know, maybe we needed a little check there and just to see what we really have in life, and to get back into the stands and just cheer on and cheer this team is going to be great. I'm looking really forward to it. I think it's August the 4th or 12th. I'm not sure the date of the first game. I think they're away. I'm not sure which one is that, but I think it's in August. But I know I'll be on the TV watching the first couple. But Labor Day is going to be a lot of fun as well.
And then the Grey Cup, to be able to have that. I mean, the opportunity to get to play or to go watch a Grey Cup, to see the Grey Cup handed out. And not only that, but to see Coach O be inducted into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, part of that week celebration.
Awesome.
I mean, you must have December 5th to the 12th completely blacked out in your calendar.
It is. And again, I've congratulated him. It's well-deserved for Coach O, and I'm hoping that week, I don't want to look too far ahead, but I can tell you they've got a good enough team to make it back there again. And I'm looking forward to the season and that week for sure.
Well said. Hitch, thanks so much for doing this. It's great to see you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Take care.
Thank you, the listener, the viewer, however you're deciding to get this podcast into your ears. We appreciate it. We will be back with a new episode. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you stay locked in right here. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. It's been Louie B. This has been the 2021 season preview for the Hamilton Tiger Cats presented by TELUS. And again, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode.